So, G.K. Chesterton. One of my very, very favoritist of authors of all time, even though I've honestly only read very few of his works. I can honestly say that his Orthodoxy, his book Orthodoxy, is one of the most delightful books I have ever read, and probably ever will. Orthodoxy sounds so just like heavy and kind of Thomas Aquinas-y, but oh my goodness, far, far from it. His excitement about the topic just makes you so excited to read it, and as I was reading bits of it just before making this video, like literally, my heart was thumping as I was reading through this chapter, thumping the entire time, because I'll just let you... Orthodoxy is the story of how G.K. Chesterton found Christianity. I love this entire book, but for our intents and purposes, I think it'll make a long enough video if I just do my favorite bits from one chapter, which is the Paradoxes of Christianity. Paradoxes? Paradoxes? I don't know. While reading all sorts of intellectualisms of the 20th century, he found so many contradictory reasons to beat up on Christianity. He says it was attacked on all sides for all contradictory reasons. He gets this impression that Christianity must be a most extraordinary thing. So he starts to look into it more, and there's this wonderful train of thought about how he got through that and came to the realization of the truth of Christianity. But then he just starts going on about how there are paradoxes in Christianity. There are a lot of paradoxes in Christianity, and how amazing that is, and I'm just going to read it to you. He calls it the achievement of the Christian paradox of the parallel passions. How Christianity, as a church, can envelop literally like everything, just everything. St. Francis, in praising all good, could be a more shouting optimist than Walt Whitman. St. Jerome, in denouncing all evil, could paint the world blacker than Schopenhauer. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. Both passions were free, because both were kept in their place. It is true that the church told some men to fight and others not to fight, and it is true that those who fought were like thunderbolts and those who did not fight were like statues. All this simply means is that the church preferred to use its supermen and its Tolstoyans. There must be some good in the life of the battle, for many good men have enjoyed being soldiers. There must be some good in the idea of non-resistance, for many good men seem to have enjoyed being Quakers. All that the church did, so far as that goes, was to prevent either of these good things from ousting each other. They existed side by side. The Tolstoyans, having all the scruples of a monk, simply became monks. The Quakers became a club instead of becoming a sect. And it starts to build. He says Christianity was like a huge and ragged and romantic rock, which, though it sways on its pedestal at a touch, yet because its exaggerated excrescences exactly balanced each other, is enthroned there for 1,000 years. It is exactly this which explains what is so inexplicable to all modern critics of the history of Christianity. I mean the monstrous wars about small points of theology, the earthquakes of emotion over a gesture or a word. It was only a matter of an inch, but an inch is everything when you are balancing. The church could not afford to swerve a hair's breadth on some things if she were to continue her great and daring experiment of the irregular equilibrium. Once let one idea become less powerful, and some other idea will become too powerful. It was no flock of sheep that the Christian shepherd was leading, but a herd of bulls and tigers, of terrible ideas and devouring doctrines, each one of them strong enough to turn into a false religion and lay waste to the world. Remember that the church went in specifically for dangerous ideas. She was a lion tamer. The idea of birth through a Holy Spirit, of the death of a divine being, of the forgiveness of sins, the fulfillment of prophecies, these are ideas which anyone can see need but a touch to turn them into something blasphemous or ferocious. The church in its early days went fierce and fast with any warhorse, yet it is utterly unhistoric to say that she merely went mad along one idea, like a vulgar fanaticism. She swerved to left and right so exactly as to avoid enormous obstacles. She left on one hand the huge bulk of Arianism, buttressed by all the worldly powers to make Christianity too worldly. The next instant she was swerving to avoid an Orientalism, which would have made it too unworldly. The Orthodox Church never took the tame course or accepted the conventions. The Orthodox Church was never respectable. It would have been easier to have accepted the earthly power of the Arians. It would have been easy in the Calvinistic 17th century to fall into the bottomless pit of predestination. It is easy to be a madman. It is easy to be a heretic. It is always easy to let the age have its head. It is a difficult thing to keep one's own. It is always simple to fall. There are an infinity of angles at which one falls, but only one at which one stands. To have fallen into any one of the fads from Gnosticism to Christian Science would indeed have been obvious and tame. But to have avoided them all has been one whirling adventure. And in my vision, the heavenly chariot flies thundering through the ages, the dull heresies sprawling and prostrate, the wild truth reeling but erect. Just no comment. Bye, guys.